We had a couple of people on the day of the march asking about, what are you doing mixing up the issues of environment and Te Tiriti and Palestine, and people are a little bit confused about why those things were all kind of coming to the surface together. And maybe some people watching tonight might have the same question. What do you have to say to them about that?
Yeah, I think that's a really important and really valid question, and something that's important for us to talk about. I think Kaiawhina is actually a really awesome example of that, where we're exploring all of these different kaupapa and learning about, you know, systems of oppression, whether it's to do with Indigenous rights, whether it's to do with our environment, you know, or even geopolitically what's happening within our region, whether it's, you know, what's happening with AUKUS or what's happening in Palestine. And so as Māori, as tangata whenua, we know that the protection of te taiao is completely linked into what our ancestors secured for us through the treaty. And actually, as Forest and Bird, some of our most successful wins for protecting areas have been won, you know, where Forest and Bird has really supported hapu in the protection of their rohe, and that is directly connected to Te Tiriti. So I think it's really important that we have more opportunities to understand the importance of us seeing those completely connected, and the Fast Track Approvals Bill actually highlights it. It's anti-Te Tiriti, right? Why is that? Oh, because that then allows for the continued extraction and exploitation and encapsulation of wealth for the few, which has really been the history of what we have experienced now, you know, since, for you know, over 180 years. So, so I think that there are conversations that we need to have, some really honest conversations that we need to have with one another, and provide those opportunities to learn about those connections and the importance of showing up for each other, and knowing that if we are truly to see, you know, Te Tiriti justice, then we're going to see a thriving and flourishing environment, and the ability for communities, tangata tiriti and hapu to work together within their areas to realize that. And that's what the treaty secures, you know, and I think that a lot of people don't actually understand the importance of those being connected. Toitu Te Tiriti, toitu Te Taiao, it's simple. And that was that banner at the very front of the rally. I thought it was really powerful. In terms of Palestine, that's another kōrero that is a good one. I'll try and keep it, it's hard to keep it short when it comes to Palestine, but I just want to also mention the event that happened with Professor Mason that was co-hosted by Greenpeace the week leading up to the rally. And that was with Russell Norman and Professor Mason from Palestine, who is a professor on biodiversity and climate. And that kōrero was absolutely incredible, you know, like to hear about Palestine, the hundreds and thousands of fig trees and olive trees that have been just absolutely bulldozed, and pine trees planted in their place, how they've diverted their waterways in Palestine to prevent water from going down to Palestinian people. That has completely changed the ecology of the area, to the flooding of the tunnels, you know, throughout Gaza that have been flooded with seawater and have absolutely destroyed every single aquifer within the whenua. So, you know, we know that ecocide is and has been taking place in Palestine, but then there's also, you know, we need to be looking at militarization. You know, the amount of money that our government and certainly the US government are putting into, you know, that they're putting into military spending, just a fraction of that would address so much of our issues around climate and biodiversity. And so when we look at the issue of Palestine, and 1,500 of us turned out at COP28 in Dubai to protest about the direct link between there is no human rights without justice for Palestine. There is no climate justice without justice for Palestine. Palestine is the tip of the spear of colonialism, settler colonial violence, and imperialism, which really, if we're to get honest, are the root causes of the climate crisis that we're experiencing. And so, yes, it's our responsibility to look after our own backyard. Yes, it's our responsibility to speak up for ourselves as tangata whenua, for our environment, collectively for us to do that, to value our whenua and to value each other. But we also have a responsibility as people on the same planet to address one of the core key issues that is going on, not only in terms of a genocide playing out in real time in front of us on our devices, but also that this is the tip of the spear of the climate crisis. And so the fast track approvals bill, climate, it's all connected. And so it comes back again to systems of oppression, and the continuation of what we're seeing here in Aotearoa is making it clear as day, particularly to our rangatahi, to our young people, how this is all connected. And I think if we can collectively get there as a nation, I think that we're going to, that we can create some incredibly powerful and positive change for people who are struggling to put food on the table, for people who are struggling to buy their first home. We need to really be looking at our responsibilities to each other, to te taiao, and making things accessible for all people in Aotearoa. And that's only going to be possible as well if we have some understanding of how these things are interconnected and related, and how incredible. You know, what a beautiful thing to see people whose families are experiencing a genocide turn up. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know, to see tangata whenua walking side by side with everyone else, you know, for nature. I just think it's such a display of how beautiful we are as a country to make those connections and to proudly stand side by side to highlight the issues and the importance of knowing how they're connected.
Yep. Yeah.
I just want to give you a standing ovation.
Yeah. And before that,
glorious.
I can say, like, honestly, as one of the key people for running the march, if you enjoyed the march and you had a good time, that was made possible because of Palestinian activists stepping up at the last minute and making it awesome. And, you know, the thing about solidarity is standing shoulder to shoulder. We don't necessarily always understand or even necessarily agree, but the power of solidarity is that we just stand next to each other. And I felt really proud to be standing next to you and standing next to the Palestine crew. Like, they made it magical. Just want to say one other thing. What you said about Kaya Whenua was amazing, but I actually think it's actually even more amazing than you've said. Like, I've been doing activism for 25 years. I think the single best development in the broader activist scene is your crew. Because, it's not just about fighting the fight, because it's important. We actually have to build organisation to be able to make transformational change over time. That's what you guys are doing. And I was so proud to have you guys at the front of the march. It was awesome. I know someone came and go, "Oh, it's so great that you've got us at the front." Yes, no, it's the privilege is all of ours. The only other thing I should say is no one should be surprised about having an anti-war and an environmental message together. It is called Greenpeace.
It's on the t-shirt.
It says Greenpeace.
It's simple, right? Yeah. And it's just like such a huge part of Greenpeace.